E-Star Technology advertised that the Takee One is the first 3D holographic smartphone, but is that really true? Or what's really behind this phone? Let's check it out in this video. I'm Styler and this is my full review of the Takee One from efox-shop.com. So by now I'm sure that some of you already have heard about the Takee One and seen some few videos about it. Many of you out there will certainly say that this phone has nothing to do with real holographics, and yeah, you're right, you will not see Princess Leia appear in a blue beam out of the screen, and some of it may just be smart marketing from E-Star. But let's try to be realistic. We talk about a phone for about $130 and for that price you actually get a lot more than on many other phones in the same price class. It of course also have some cons, but more to that later in the video. So we have also in the past seen other devices with naked eye 3D, like for example the LG Optimus 3D, but this was using what they call parallax 3D, two displays on top of each other, but in a lower quality. The Takee One doesn't use that technique. Instead it tracks both eyes in order to generate images on the LCD that for a viewer close to the screen will appear to be 3D, so it's not exactly the same. The Takee One comes with a 5.5 inch Full HD 1080p display with Corning Gorilla Glass, 2GB RAM and 32GB ROM, unique features like eye-tracking 3D and AirTouch, and has an overall good build quality with full metal frame. To the cons are that it is only using the older MTK 6592T octa-core SoC clocked at 2.0 GHz, and that it out of the box only runs with Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, with very little chance that we ever will see Lollipop. So let me show you what you get with the phone. So you get two back covers, one dark and one white. You get the battery of course on 2500 mAh. We have the wall charger, and this here is, let's see if I get close up, this is a 5 volt 2 amp. We get a power plug adapter, a small pin to open up the back cover. You also get the micro USB cable, and you can see this is of a flat type. And last you get some papers. Quick start guide, but the text is in Chinese, but there are also some pictures, and partly also in English where you can see the specifications. Let's now have a close look at the phone design. On the top we find the light and proximity sensor, the ear speaker together with the 5 megapixel front camera. The phone has a 5.5 inch Full HD display with Gorilla Glass, and overall I'm very satisfied with the quality. In the bottom we find the menu, home and back buttons, which are all not illuminated. They are just printed on top in silver color, but also notice that we have a small extra sensor located near the home button. Actually this sensor is very strong and works almost like an advanced proximity sensor. It is used for the AirTouch, but unlike a normal proximity sensor, this one here will also register movements far away from the phone. On the back side, which is removable and made of matte plastic, actually there are two back covers included, one in black and one in white. We have a decent 13 megapixel rear camera together with a strong single LED flash. Inside the phone we will also find a 2500 mAh battery, which gives about 6 hours on screen time. And last we have the rear speaker, which provides good sound. Actually inside we have two speakers, and I would say the sound is a bit above average. In the bottom of the phone we find the micro USB port with USB OTG support and the microphone. On the right side we only find the power button, which is a little bit loose to touch. We also see the frame, which is made of real metal, and that actually makes the phone feel pretty premium in the hand. In the top we find the 3.5mm headphone jack together with a noise cancelling microphone and a small button to open up the back cover, and you have to use a small pin to eject it. And last on the left side we find the volume rocker, which feels very solid. Okay, so let's open up the back cover and let's have a close look on the back side. As we see here, it has support for dual SIM and also a microSD card. We see the battery on 2500 mAh, and last we see 2 speakers. And let's have a look at the phone. This is the lock screen. And what you instantly can see is that this is an older ROM. Actually, it's 4.2 Jelly Bean. And the phone comes with the Play Store pre-installed, something the Chinese version from last year didn't. And I also installed myself the Holo Space, Holo Game and 3D films, and also a Chinese store called Ulifang. These didn't come on the phone out of the box, and I will of course also provide a link in the video description where to get these APKs if you also need them. So you see Holo Space, Holo Game, 3D films. We have Ulifang and Holo Show. So the Holo Show was on the phone from the beginning, also 3D gallery and 3D video and normal gallery and camera. And you can see the Play Store here. And these are some apps I just installed myself to test out the phone. Let's see inside the app drawer. And you notice widgets here in the top. Or will you scroll? And this is because this is the layout we know from Jelly Bean. But you notice it's okay smooth and fast. And below here you see the capacitive buttons, so there are no light. You also see the sensor here, and because the camera can see infrared, you can see it kind of blinks all the time. You can see it's active. Let's try here the buttons, menu, home, and the multitasking overview, back. So the 3D is created via the Eyetracking, and they call it naked eye 3D technology, which basically just means that you can watch the 3D without using any kind of special glasses, and not the same as parallax 3D as for example seen on the LG Optimus 3D. So this phone is using another kind of technology to achieve the same kind of 3D effect. So it's also possible to get a slide for the phone that they call the Space Eye. Basically it is a slide with extra cameras and sensors, but it's not really needed as it will also work without, as it uses 2 front sensors already, but with the Space Eye it should be more precise. Without the Space Eye it will use this sensor below here and also the front facing camera sensor, so that's why it still works. Let's see here in the top. We have the quick toggles. We have AirTouch. Let me activate. So now the AirTouch with the sensor is activated. And let's have a look inside Ulifang, the Chinese store. 3D game, 3D movie, and so on. So here you can download some examples and 3D pictures. And let's try to open up the Holo Show. So you can see it uses the front camera. Okay, let's try out a model. So of course you can't see this effect at all because it will use the human eyes to track and create the 3D effect. So right now you don't see this effect at all, but it works really great, trust me. Let me get back and let's see, we have the Holo game. So inside here I already installed some games, you see them here, and I made a separate video showing the AirTouch. You can actually control the games using your finger here in the air, and just check on my channel for that video. It is actually a pretty awesome feature, but not all the games are supporting the AirTouch, only some of them are, so you just have to try some different ones. Okay, let me get back. Then we have 3D films, and the films, the full movie films, you can't download without an account, and unfortunately you need a Chinese phone number or email, so it's not possible to see or watch full movies, but you can download the trailers, and you can see these here. So I actually downloaded them all just to try them out. And of course you can also just download a normal side-by-side 3D movie and put it on the SD card or on the internal of the phone and watch it with the player, because the phone support normal 3D movies. The movies do not have to be made especially for the phone. Just ordinary side-by-side clips will work. But let me try to go here, and you can also see some different movies, but these will be in Chinese. And let's try out the first demo movie. And again, you can't see the effect here at all, because it will only work with the human eyes in front. So that's why you can't see the 3D effect at all. But maybe you can imagine how it looks. So just click here, you can see the options in the player: 2D, left, right, VR. Also we have some here, 2D video. And actually you can control your player just by swiping like this. That's the volume, yeah, up. And when I swipe down, that's the volume down. Let's try like this. Fast forward. Back. So when you watch the 3D movies on this screen and you're sitting in front of it, you really feel that the things are coming out of the display. You get this feeling, the 3D feeling that you also get when you're watching 3D movies in the cinema or on a 3D TV. So the effect is exactly the same. Let us just try a game. Going to use the AirTouch. Okay. Then we also have the 3D gallery. So that's just a normal gallery where you can look at 3D pictures. So these are actually in 3D, but again, only visible if you're sitting in front of the camera. The 3D effect will hardly be displayed here at all. We also find normal gallery for normal pictures, 2D pictures. We have the 3D video player, so that's just the player. And you'll notice that these are side-by-side movies. And last, let me show you the Holo Space. So you could call that kind of a hub where you can start up the different apps. Of course, you can also use the finger adjust. And the whole layout here is also in 3D. So again, if you're sitting with the phone in front of you, you will get this feeling that these things are like flying in the air out of the screen. But the effect here is impossible to show in a video. So unfortunately, the 3D depth cannot be adjusted. There's no possibilities in the settings or whatsoever to adjust the 3D. So according to eStar, the 3D effect is calibrated from the factory, and only they can do it. So you have to live with the 3D effect set from the start. And also one warning about if you want to flash this phone, you have to be very careful, because if you flash the phone, you might also lose the 3D effect, because the calibration maybe get lost. And I actually tried to flash another ROM on this phone here, and I first lost the 3D effect on the phone, but before I flashed the other ROM, I made a total read backup of the phone, so I was able to restore the phone again with the original settings and calibration to get the 3D effect back again. But just be aware, if you flash another ROM and the 3D effect is gone, then that's why. And if you don't do a backup first, you have no possibility to get the 3D effect back. Only by sending in the phone to eStar they can calibrate it again. So be very careful if you're going to try to experiment with the flashing ROMs and so on. Let's check out the viewing angles. So you notice very good viewing angles, still sharp and very vivid. Let's try from the side. Very good display. From the top, and again from the bottom. Let's try out the torch. The single LED flash on the back, you can see it's kind of blue, but it's pretty bright, gives a lot of bright light, so it's not weak at all. Let's have a closer look at the Wi-Fi and the network. Overall, no problems. Wi-Fi is good. Network is also fine. Right now I'm using dual SIM. Let me first of all disable the AirTouch. Let's try to activate the data connection on one SIM card. Let me then disable the Wi-Fi. Open up a page, and we see H+ on the blue SIM card. So H+ is high speed, so this should be pretty fast still, even though the phone of course doesn't support 4G LTE. So this is eBay. Right now Wi-Fi is still disabled, only using the H+ speed. So seems to be fast. And let's try out a test call.
To change your personal options, press 2.
Let's try the proximity sensor. This is working. And next up, let's have a look inside the camera app. So this is very stock, nothing fancy. All the settings we know from MediaTek. We see 13 megapixels in 4:3, 9.5 in widescreen. And let's see some samples. So overall the quality is not bad. Let's see here. Let me zoom in. You can see pretty good details. And as always, I will provide a link below in the video description to some high resolution samples so you can see the true quality. So please go check these out. Let me also try to change the wallpaper to something else. And here you can see the phone with another wallpaper. Let's just try to switch again. Let's try this one here. Also try, for example, that one. Very nice. So regarding the sound via the headphone jack, the sound is loud and good, but there is like a half second of low hiss after you stop the music. It's not really annoying, but that is just something I noticed by coincidence, and I believe it's the same with the built-in rear speaker, but normally you will not notice it at all. So the last thing I'm going to show you is the settings. Let's see, we have SIM management, we have the AirTouch, display, storage. So the storage here internal is 4 GB. It is split into two. We have total space 22.89 GB. We also see it support OTG, USB on the go. We have apps. Let's see the RAM consumption. And we see here 1.4 GB is free. Let's see cached. And totally it has 2 GB of RAM. Then we have language and input. And unlike the Chinese version from last year, because that version only had Chinese and English, this version here is multi-language. And last, about phone, we see the build number from September 2015. Actually, I got one OTA update, so the wireless update here is definitely also working. And we see Android version 4.2.2 Jelly Bean. So that's it for the settings. So now to my list of pros and cons. First, the pros. First of all, the build quality of this phone is amazing. The metal frame together with the Gorilla Glass looks and feels very premium, and in the hand it doesn't feel like a cheap phone at all. The 3D effect with eye tracking works okay. For me, not really fantastic, but it looks pretty cool. And you get this effect that it partly comes out of the screen, and because the screen is in full HD, the quality is fine. But I could just wish that they also added a way to adjust the 3D depth, because then it would be even better. The AirTouch is also a funny gimmick for games, and it is pretty precise. And that's not something I have seen ever on another phone. So it's a pretty unique feature and can't be compared with normal air gestures, which is much weaker. Things like screen quality, sound quality, camera and GPS are all above average. All is good, maybe not super, but still much better than on many other phones for $130. It has tons of built-in sensors like gyroscope, e-compass, etc. But unfortunately it only partly works with Google Cardboard, and some of the sensors doesn't seem to be 100% compatible. And last, it has a notification LED with multicolor, while the touch buttons unfortunately are without any kind of backlight. So the cons are that the phone comes only with the older MTK 6592T SoC and Android 4.2 Jelly Bean with very little hope for any upgrade in the future. So if you can't live with that, then this is clearly not a phone for you. The firmware seems to miss some optimization. Overall the phone runs smooth, and in AnTuTu it scores close to 35,000, but you clearly feel that something is missing and you sometimes can experience small bugs in the UI. Out of the box, my Takee 1 also missed the apps Holo Space, Holo Game and 3D Films, but I was able to install them myself, so it was not a problem for me. GPS works okay, but it does not have any kind of cloner support, and the performance is what I would call average. There's no kind of smart wake, smart features, hot nod or air gestures, besides the AirTouch for games and the video player. The battery life gives about 6 hours on screen time. If we compare that with, for example, the OnePlus 2, then it's not that bad, as the OnePlus 2 gets about the same. But we just must remember that the OnePlus 2 performs much better, so for that the on-screen time on the Takee 1 is nothing special and could be much better. So my conclusion on this phone is, if you are a 3D fan and can live with the older SoC and Android version, then it's a pretty cool phone for the price, but if you can't live with these cons, then I recommend to look for something else. Well guys, that's it for the review. Remember also to check out my blog. You'll find the link in the video description. If you have any questions, please comment below, give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.